What happens when the very thing that made you famous becomes the very thing that threatens your health? Imagine this. The queen of selfies, Kim Kardashian, a woman who turned the act of holding up a phone into a cultural phenomenon, suddenly finds herself facing a painful reality. Her endless selfies may have sparked a carpal tunnel scare. Could the most photographed woman in the world truly be undone by her own selfie habit? Or is this yet another chapter in the dramatic saga of a celebrity whose life feels more like a documentary than reality itself? The truth, as you'll see, is stranger and more revealing than anyone could have imagined. From the very beginning, Kim Kardashian's selfie habit wasn't just a passing interest. It was her signature, her trademark, her power. Each perfectly lit image was not only a window into her glamorous lifestyle, but also a carefully crafted tool of influence. Her selfie habit didn't just make her famous, it built an empire. With millions of followers hanging on to every click, every angle, every duck face and contour shot, Kim transformed the modern selfie into an art form. But behind the polished photos and glossy perfection, a hidden strain was developing, one that no amount of contouring could hide. The story begins in the most unlikely way, a wrist ache, subtle at first, easy to dismiss. For someone like Kim Kardashian, whose daily life is packed with photo shoots, appearances, and endless documentation, a little discomfort didn't seem like much. After all, her selfie habit was more than just a quirk. It was a brand-defining ritual. Yet this minor pain grew louder, sharper, until whispers of something more alarming surfaced. Could Kim Kardashian really be facing a carpal tunnel scare, all because of her relentless obsession with selfies? Carpal tunnel syndrome, for most people, is a condition that sneaks in quietly. It begins with tingling in the fingers, maybe numbness, maybe burning sensations, until the wrist feels like it's on fire. For office workers and factory employees, it's an occupational hazard. But for Kim Kardashian, it became a bizarre but telling reminder of the price of her selfie habit. Every time she lifted her phone, every time she twisted her wrist to capture that perfect angle, the stress on her hands grew. And slowly, that stress began to speak. The world first heard of Kim Kardashian's carpal tunnel scare when fans began noticing something different. In interviews, she mentioned the discomfort casually, as if it were an aside. But for the media, it was a revelation. Headlines exploded. Kim Kardashian's selfie habit sparks carpal tunnel scare. Suddenly, the glamorous act of self-documentation seemed dangerous, almost tragic. For years, the public watched as Kim elevated the selfie from teenage fad to cultural currency. But no one thought about the physical toll it might take, until now. Behind the flashbulbs and Instagram likes, there was a real struggle. Imagine Kim Kardashian sitting in her private home, surrounded by luxury, yet rubbing her wrists in frustration. The very hands that built her empire through selfies were now betraying her. Her selfie habit wasn't just a lifestyle choice anymore, it was a health risk. Doctors explained the dangers: repetitive motion, nerve compression, long-term damage. And for someone whose brand relied on holding up a phone countless times a day, the reality was frightening. But here's the irony. Kim Kardashian's carpal tunnel scare was in many ways a reflection of our time. Millions of people worldwide spend hours scrolling, typing, swiping, and yes, taking selfies. Kim's story was not just about celebrity, it was a mirror of society itself. The selfie habit, once dismissed as vanity, now revealed its darker side. What happens when technology reshapes not only our culture but our bodies? When the act of taking a selfie, repeated endlessly, begins to carve pain into flesh and bone. Kim, however, was not one to surrender. Her documentary-worthy resilience shone through. She consulted doctors, underwent tests, and faced the truth head-on. But she also found ways to adapt. Talk of braces, physical therapy, and even lifestyle adjustments entered the conversation. Could Kim Kardashian really give up her selfie habit, or would she find a way to continue despite the risks? That question became central, not just for her fans, but for anyone who has ever held up a phone for too long. In true dramatic fashion, Kim did not let the carpal tunnel scare define her. Instead, she transformed it into another chapter of her ongoing story. For some, it was a cautionary tale, proof that even the glamorous are not immune to physical strain. For others, it was yet another example of Kim's ability to turn personal struggle into public spectacle. She spoke openly about the pain, about the risks of her selfie habit, and in doing so, she humanized herself in a way few celebrities ever do. But let's not forget the symbolic weight of this scare. Kim Kardashian's selfie habit was more than just pictures. It was about control, narrative, and power. Each selfie told a story of beauty, of fame, of wealth, of influence. The carpal tunnel scare was like a crack in that perfect mirror, a reminder that behind the carefully filtered world lies something fragile, something human. And in that fragility, we saw the cost of obsession, the danger of repetition, the limits of the body against the demands of culture. Consider for a moment the larger implications. If Kim Kardashian's selfie habit can spark a carpal tunnel scare, what does that say about us? About the millions of ordinary people who live with their phones glued to their hands, documenting every meal, every trip, every moment. If Kim, with her access to the best medical care, can face this risk, then the rest of us are certainly not immune. The documentary-style truth is clear. Our collective selfie habit may come with consequences we're only beginning to understand. Yet despite the risks, Kim Kardashian's story is not one of defeat. It is one of adaptation. She learned to take breaks, to listen to her body, to balance her selfie habit with her health. In interviews, she spoke with honesty, acknowledging the pain while also recognizing the irony. The queen of selfies, nearly dethroned by her own phone. But Kim, ever the survivor, turned even this scare into content, into conversation, into influence. That's the genius of her brand. The dramatic tension lies here. Kim Kardashian's selfie habit is both her crown and her curse. Without it, she might not have reached the heights of fame she enjoys today. With it, she risks physical pain and long-term damage. The carpal tunnel scare is not just about her wrist. It's about the intersection of celebrity, culture, and technology. It's about how far one will go to maintain an image and what happens when the body pushes back. As the narrator of this unfolding drama, I can't help but ask, was this scare a warning, a sign for Kim and for all of us to step back? Or was it simply another chapter in the endless saga of a woman who has mastered the art of staying relevant? Perhaps both. Because Kim Kardashian's story, like the selfie she takes, is layered. It is glamorous yet vulnerable, powerful yet fragile, curated yet real. In the end, the phrase Kim Kardashian's selfie habit sparks carpal tunnel scare is more than just a headline. It's a parable of our time. It speaks to the dangers of excess, the price of fame, and the ways technology shapes not just our minds but our bodies. It's a reminder that even the icons we place on pedestals are bound by human limits. And yet, it's also a story of resilience, of turning pain into power, of never letting go of the narrative, even when the wrist begins to fail. Kim Kardashian continues to post, continues to share, continues to shape culture one selfie at a time. The carpal tunnel scare lingers in the background, a shadow, a reminder. But in true Kim fashion, it is not the end. It is simply part of the ongoing show. Because if there's one thing we know about Kim Kardashian, it's this. Nothing, not even a carpal tunnel scare, can stop her selfie habit from defining an era.